Welcome to another episode of the Saturday Morning Snap Fantasy Football Podcast. Your weekly dose of news and advice that comes to your pocket every single Saturday. Holding it down, here we got Mac, Mark, Scott, and Landon. Enjoy today's show. Hey, welcome back into the Saturday Morning Snap Fantasy Football Podcast. This is episode 83, and we're coming to you live on Saturday, December 14th. This is the semi-finals week of the playoffs. Super exciting. Hopefully all of you listening got through your quarterfinals last week. You're gearing up for now the most important week of the year. I can tell you with some confidence that I made it through the listener league. The SMS crew got through. Yes, we did. Got that W, put up a monstrous 183 points, I think it was. Just fantastic. So we're going to go through the listener league, but hey, we got the whole crew here. Landon, Mark, Scott, the boys are in the building. And wherever you guys are, however you may be listening, we thank you for being here with us, in the middle of December. If it's cold and frigid, we appreciate your eyes, ears, and everything that you bring to us. So, boys, how you been? Looking forward to a big week here or what?
Yeah, I've been really good, Mac. I squeezed through one of my 3 playoffs. And RIP to your fantasy teams if you had to go up against Aaron Jones, Emmanuel Sanders, A.J. Brown. It's been, or like a Jameis Winston or Drew Brees. It's tough. It's tough when you go up against juggernauts. Mac, one of your teams overcame a serious deficit.
Yes.
Is the word I'm searching for. Deficit. But my team's good. And I had Odell in 2 leagues. In both leagues, I did not win. He's going to be a point of contention this episode. I'm excited to talk about Odell. We have lots of news on him. And I'm just excited to talk some football. If you're still listening and you're out of the playoffs, thank you so much. We appreciate you. This is when...
Keep grinding.
Keep grinding. We're grinding like everyone else. And I'm just happy to talk some fantasy with you guys. The season is almost over. It has flown by.
I will speak really quick into that one matchup. Yes, I did have to go up against Emmanuel Sanders, Michael Gallup, and Allen Robinson early on the Thursday, and also Aaron Jones. And my team overcame those 4 players, got a W, and primarily thanks to Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
Just humming that ball downfield with no avail for 60 minutes. It was great to watch. And thank you, Jameis. I really appreciate it.
Scotty, what's good, homie?
My guy.
Oh, gentlemen, what I thought would be a relaxing week last week for me, as I was on a bye week in our big money league, turned into just a horrific weekend. I can't remember the last time where I got to sit back on a bye, nothing technically on the line, and get to watch Mike Evans, Jared Cook, heck, even Rashad Penny all go down probably for the rest of the season. My team, it's not what it was 7 days ago, and I'm tilting a little bit. I've been digging deep into waiver wire articles. I'm refreshing Roto World just to see if anything new has come out of practice for Higbee or any of these other guys that I've had to go out and spend all my fab to get. I'm tilting. I'm facing Mark in a pretty big matchup, and it's going to be an epic showdown. But I got to say, between Winston having a broken finger, Mike Evans on the IR, and Jared Cook in the concussion protocol, I'm not going into it the way I would like to be going into it. So I'm a little stressed. I'm a little stressed right now. Mark, how are you?
Scotty, I have to tell you though, you touted Rashad Penny as a penny stock that blew up and hit the pay dirt on him. As most penny stocks do, they crash and burn. Even there's a tiny little flash and glimmer of hope, and then they come crashing down, and you're left with nothing. And hate to say it, but that's exactly what happened.
You were right on the money.
Rashad Bitcoin. They're
Oh no.
Okay, yeah, that's I guess as good of a segue as any. I'm great. Scott, I'm not going to talk any trash at all about that matchup. I'm just looking forward to it. I know better than to run my mouth.
Good
at this
vibes.
point.
Yeah, throwing good vibes your way, Scotty.
I'm going to throw it out there. It's going to be fun. One of us is going to come out on top. And at the end of the day, we're both going to come out on the Saturday morning snap. So we got that at least, right?
You always have that.
It was so far the coldest day of our winter, just starting up here in Thunder Bay, Ontario. It was 33 degrees below zero today. So I'm wearing the Chris Godwin jersey, hoping to heat up, hoping to take the take that cold off and lead the league in receiving yards after this week.
Oh, I would love that. I would absolutely love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So things are great,
Cool.
and we're going into the quarterfinals, and I'm only really dealing... semifinals. I'm only really dealing with one dynasty team left. I got a 5th place game against Landon in another league this week, and other than that, it's been hard to ignore the notifications right now. It's crazy time in fantasy sports, and I love it.
What's not to love? I think we can all speak about something that we love here, and it's been the Saturday Morning Snap Listener League, the inaugural league. This idea came to us after our first year of doing this show, and we all kind of put it into motion and found really 8 solid guys to play fantasy football with. Quarterfinals are done. We'll recap those matchups really, really quick. Scuba Steve had a bye as well as Turk, so 1 and 2 spots. They both had good weeks up in the 140s, 147 range. And then our 2 quarterfinal matches, we had Easy, the OG, going up against Big Nick, a.k.a. Braden. I don't know what happened in this game because I didn't watch that game till the end, that Giants Eagles game. I had an early Tuesday to get up for, and I missed the end of the game, but I saw it went into overtime. But there was some last-minute play that affected the outcome of this game. Big Nick won 99.2 to 98. And people are saying in the chat,
it was overtime. It was
Sanders, overtime.
Sanders getting a reception or something in overtime to put him just that point, 1.2 points ahead.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah, so Easy lost a close one. So Big Nick will be moving on to play Scuba Steve, the number 1 ranked team in our league. That one's going to be a good one right now. Scuba Steve is projected to win by 12, but projections, schmections, they don't mean anything. And then we were going up against Buck Waldrop, the number 3 team in the league. We were projected to lose by 2 and outscored our projected total by 64 points. Put up a season high 189.14 points. Our team went absolutely ham, and we ended up getting that W. So congrats to the 4 Musketeers. The SMS boys are moving on. We're taking on Turk, the number 2 overall team, projected to lose by 9, by 10. But look, we were up against some adversity last week, and bring it on this week. Let's get it going. It should be a good one.
The difference between our team now and Turk's is that, we got something that he doesn't, and that's heart. We got the support of 4 grown men, and he's only got 1. No contest.
Whenever I hear people say like heart and getting fired up, I think of like the Wolf of Wall Street when he starts going pounding the chest and firing everybody up. Like that's gonna be us come Sunday.
The big matchup is that
slightly more drug abuse.
We've got Mostert and Gurley going up the Derrick Henry and Dalvin Cook. It's going to be a rough one. We have Robert Woods, though. He's been a target monster. I think DJ Moore is looking good on his team against Seattle. So it's going to be Battle of the Titans here. But I think you never know. You never know what happens. Fantasy playoffs.
To think that this team lost David Johnson and Kerryon Johnson and is still in the running is mind-boggling.
Yeah,
Love it.
I know.
So the real goal for us here this week is down to the nitty gritty. We are trying to find those streaming candidates, those last minute start and sits that will really, really help you win your week and get into the championship match. I mean, let's not make any bones about it. There were a ton of injuries this week, an overwhelming number of holes to patch on fantasy rosters, and some people are sitting there like Scott, who had maybe earned themselves a bye week and now are thinking, man, I didn't even have to play a match and I've got all of these holes to fill. And so what do you do? Where do you go? How do you somehow recover? And that's going to be the real goal for us today. So I think the best place to start, boys, is just looking at the injuries and, addressing who is out for the season, who is day to day, and, who might be coming back. But if they are, who can you trust them? So we're going to do our best to go through these really quick and give you as much information as possible. So Landon, why don't you kick us off? Who got injured this week that is now out for the season?
As we discussed earlier, Mike Evans and Rashad Penny are out for season, both ACL, or it looks like, Mike Evans has a hamstring, and there's no point in rushing him back. And Rashad Penny has an ACL tear. That's a terrible news. We have Calvin Ridley, abdomen, out for season. Again, Atlanta's not looking good as a team, so why would you bring back Calvin Ridley? Alshon Jeffrey, he's been just torn with injuries, his foot, and I don't think he's going to play again. It's a tough one. Tough for that whole offense.
This one isn't confirmed.
Not confirmed. I don't expect him to play.
Me neither.
He's up there in age. It's not really looking good for Alshon. He's an absolute beast when he is healthy for that team. Darius Geis, it's an MCL sprain, so it's really good news for Geis for next season. Unfortunately,
he must have been thrilled for this.
Absolutely. He's had such bad luck. He won't need surgery. I wouldn't recommend anyone getting surgery in the Washington area anyways. But
Flamed.
But Geis, Mac and I were talking earlier. It's going to be interesting where Geis goes next year in fantasy drafts. I'm thinking maybe 6th round. Mac was thinking a little bit earlier. We always have these Darius Geis truthers out there, myself included. When he's healthy, he's extremely explosive, and we were just starting to see that. Heartbreaking that he's out already. DJ Chark, foot, ankle, day-to-day. I don't know what to think about DJ. He might play, he might not. He's day-to-day. And then we just got news that Marvin Jones Jr. went on IR with an ankle.
Yeah, that's crazy.
DJ Chark, with someone like that is the bottom of the bottom with the football league. And as it stands, is it worth it to put someone like that back in the game? How much more are they going to do? They clearly have, they made it through the season without Fournette getting injured. That's nice.
Which is great.
Yeah.
And he is clearly the heart and soul of that team, but I think they got way more in DJ Chark than they would have bargained for leading into the season. So I think he's kind of in that same wheelhouse of keeping him off the field just to make sure he is not injured further. He is a superstar and should be treated as such.
So the thing here is that we know one thing for sure is that Minshew is going to have to find a new number one receiver in this offense. And there's two guys that kind of come to the forefront, and they are going to be available on your waiver wires most likely. D.D. Westbrook and Chris Conley,
Antonio Brown.
Two names. Yeah, come on. Don't do that. I'm going to kick this one to you, Scotty. Do you, if you lost DJ Chark this week, or you don't want to roll him out, are you okay with pivoting onto Westbrook or Connolly, or are you just kind of staying away from the Jags in general?
Honestly, if at all possible, I'm staying away from the Jags in all shapes and forms outside of Fournette. I mean, I dropped their defense to make way for my backup tight end this week. I like Mark said, I just don't know that they're playing for enough at this point that I can really put stock in almost any of their weapons, because it's going to be pretty unpredictable about who the coaching staff wants to evaluate at this point, what they want to do with remaining games. They're not playing for much. So personally, I would stay clear of anyone not named Fournette.
And I think really one of the big pillars of that team that began the gradual fall was definitely how that defense was not producing the same fantasy points or the same impact on their game as they would have been last year. Like it was,
I agree.
Immediate decline from basically week two on, and then they lost Jalen Ramsey, and I think it was all like that ship sailed from there.
The fall from grace for Saxonville has been really, really fast, and I have not enjoyed it as I've owned them in 2 leagues for a couple of years now, and now they're gone.
Yep.
Right. So Mike Evans goes out. Jameis Winston has a hairline fracture in his hand. He returns and absolutely flames in the second half, and he used Brashad Perriman and he used Justin Watson to do so, along with Chris Godwin sparingly and Mark's boy OJ Howard. Landon, if you had to predict one guy to step up and fill the Mike Evans role not named Chris Godwin, who's it going to be?
Well, we all know on this podcast I'm actually a Justin Watson truther a little bit. He's been pretty terrible this season. He's only had a few catches besides last week, but I do think it's OJ Howard season. I think it sets up perfect against the Lions. I think OJ Howard's going to be hyperly involved, and I would play OJ everywhere, especially if you lost a guy like Jared Cook or if you've been streaming Jared Cook and you drafted OJ Howard and still stashed him on, I'd be thrilled to have OJ Howard right now with Mike Evans.
Let's get serious. It's going to be Bobo Wilson.
Oh,
I actually think it's going to be Brashad Perriman. I'll be interested to see. I don't think there'll be a massive uptick in OJ.
Can we get a little bet of Watson versus Perriman?
Watson versus Perriman or Howard versus Perriman? I would take Howard versus Perriman.
Oh, you want that?
I'll take that bet. I'll take that.
Oh, all right.
Sounds good.
You guys can settle it Sunday. We'll
double-digit targets for all 3 of them.
Am I salty as a former OJ Howard owner this season? You bet.
Yes, you are.
I'm starting up against you, Scott.
I'm aware.
Really quickly, Rashad Penny, you cannot replace. Chris Carson has the keys to the backfield. I think if you have Chris Carson this week, you are laughing. The opportunity for him is going to be outrageous. Calvin Ridley's spot, I'm not running out to fill with Russell Gage or Justin Hardy. I'm not interested. I think they've had their struggles. Julio hasn't been great either, and they go up against the San Francisco 49ers. And yes, the New Orleans Saints last week threw up 46 points on this, quote-unquote elite defense, but I'm not looking to the Atlanta Falcons to be the New Orleans Saints.
What about Hooper?
That's not true.
You're playing Hooper now that he's back?
I'm still playing Hooper. The ball's going to have to go somewhere, and I think that as of anybody, he steps up. So in a very lackluster, underwhelming return since I can't remember what his layoff was, 6 weeks or so, I think he'll be the guy to step up because that's what Matt Ryan's going to need, a little safety blanket. But I'm not going out to get Russell Gage to fill this hole. And that's kind of where I will leave it. I would go D.D. Westbrook to fill the DJ Chark hole, but that is just my personal opinion.
What about, on Atlanta, what about Zacchaeus, who pulled in a 93-yard touchdown grab, making him so far like the
longest play of the year?
Longest play in the history of any player of all time. He's got the most average receiving yards. Did you also know that he's got one catch? Did you also know that
that was his that was his first and only catch ever?
Exactly.
93 yards.
He's leading the historical records in the NFL.
No, I'm a volume guy. Now that's a guy that Scott really would love. A total efficiency guy.
The biggest homer of all time.
Catch
to touchdown ratio.
We thought Lockett
100%.
was efficient. That is just amazing efficiency.
First round pick for Scotty next year.
Imagine he gets another one this week.
Yeah.
Day to day right now, we've got Pat Mahomes. He's got a bone bruise on his throwing hand. He's kind of been a little bit underwhelming with only throwing one passing touchdown in the last few weeks. But I think that he'll play. Same thing with Lamar Jackson. He is, I know we're recording this early, but he should play Thursday. Derrick Henry has a hamstring injury. He's been limited in practice so far, but I expect him to play as well. And Devontae Parker is still in concussion protocol. Now, this one is different. I expect him to be out. Do you guys kind of see it the same way here?
Yeah, I agree with your take on all of those. Devontae Parker's on a team that was fighting to be the worst team in the NFL. Whenever you're dealing with a concussion, I see no reason to rush a guy like that back. The situation's not the same for the other two. They're in it, especially Tennessee. They need to win, and Derrick Henry is their absolute workhorse. So I'm sure he gets a full load this week.
And it's important to note that Derrick Henry has been the reason for the success in the passing game for Ryan Tannehill and this, receiving core. He's really been the driving force because defenses just can't stop him, and they have to sort of come up and defend the run, and that opens up so much in the passing lanes. And A.J. Brown's just been feasting on that. So,
Playoff box is a quarterback's best friend.
Yep.
Derrick Henry, playoff MVP, second consecutive year.
He might be. Just very well so. Scotty, why don't you walk us through the guys coming back this week and if they play, can we trust them?
Absolutely. The list is long and still very cloudy at this point. We'll kick it off. We've got T.Y. Hilton with his ankle injury with the Colts. Now,
I don't think I trust T.Y.
I wouldn't play him either.
Yeah, it'd be really tough to assume he'll come back and just, have a semifinal winning performance. It'd be one of the highest risk plays you can do. He could even just be kind of out there, especially to get a game
Monday
plan
night
around him. Exactly. Like you can't get much higher in the risk category than a Monday night, hasn't played in weeks. Next up, we got another situation very similar, except for not a Monday night start. Adam Thielen with my Vikes. He's got that hamstring injury that we know weeks and weeks ago they said was not a big deal. Yet here we are. He hasn't taken a snap in weeks. And it's kind of a similar situation where, if they say he's going to play, big threats, or at least around the red zone. So I would be willing to play him personally, but it's another very high-risk play. What do you guys think?
I would say no. I'm not willing to start him right now.
I think I would.
I would play him too, but it is a late game. It's 4:00 game. It might be a little bit tough.
I think I would play him just because it's a different team when he's on the field. It completely opens up like the full power of that team when he's there, and you only see you see Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen thrive when they're together, but you don't always see one of them thrive individually when the other's not there. So I love them both of them together, and Adam Thielen does have amazing hands, especially in the red zone.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see around game time what the call is because it's a wide open offense with him out there, and it does affect kind of the game plan, I believe. But we'll have to see. Up next we have James Conner with that shoulder issue in Pittsburgh. I believe the belief is that he will be playing this week. We'll have to see how that trends.
Monday or it's Sunday night. I don't think I'm playing James Conner if I could help it. But we'll talk about him later.
That's exactly
if I
it.
do, it'll be in a
if you can
flex
help
spot.
it category. A running back in that offense, I think he would probably get a lot of work with with the quarterback they've slotted in there. Moving on to another Steeler, Juju Smith-Schuster. I know how we all feel about him. Would anyone here trust him in your semifinal week?
I dropped Juju Smith-Schuster weeks ago, and I don't plan on getting him back. No, the answer is no.
Yeah, I'm hands off.
At most, a pickup if he's been dropped, and a stash for next season in a dynasty, but not
he's not dropped in dynasty, Marky.
Man, I know, but I'm saying he is not worth a play anywhere right now. He's done nothing.
No.
I think we're all in agreement over that. Next up, we have Jacobs with Oakland. I've heard some kind of conflicting things because it sounded like he was in some pretty severe pain, but it looks like he could be trending coming back this week. What have you guys heard, and would you start him in that Raiders backfield?
I don't think he's going to play, and even if he does, I think I'm hands off this week. So no, I'm not going to start him.
Yeah,
I think I start him if he plays. I'm starting him if he plays.
Okay.
I have him, and I'm not going to start him, I don't think, and it's just because I have kind of a similar option in Devin Singletary, I think. So I'm probably going to be rolling Singletary instead of Jacobs.
All right, sounds good. How about Houston's field stretcher, Mr. Will Fuller, if he comes back? Now, he's been unhealthy for almost the entire season now, so I think this gets another red flag of a very high-risk play.
Ooh. So it has to fit the narrative for your team. My thing is that if you need a guy, like if you're down in your matchup and you need a guy that can go off, there is no better wide receiver 2 for any team in the league than Will Fuller. He provides so much to that Houston offense. Just having that downfield big threat is so big, especially for a guy like DeAndre Hopkins. So if Will Fuller is healthy and I need a guy with a big ceiling, I'm definitely rolling Will Fuller out.
Yeah, he's kind of the same situation as AJ Brown. Like if you're
Right.
not expected to win, and if you get a 3-point night out of either of those guys, you're gonna lose anyways. Or if you get a 30-point night, then you win. That's why you play these guys.
Right.
All right, sounds
Totally
like
agreed.
Will Fuller is a popular pick if he plays. Let's quickly get through these last through. Evan Ingram, foot. What are we thinking?
I'm not gonna play him.
Evan Ingram is not expected to play.
Yeah.
And even if he does come back, Eli woof.
Yeah, Eli Wolf. We don't need to spend time on that. How about the GOAT? Elbow issues. Tom Brady. Anybody trusting him? He's looking 42 these days.
That's well put, Scotty.
Yeah, I wouldn't play Brady this week either. You saw how limited his options were out there, but also, I mean, the throws weren't always there for him. They got seriously wrapped up by the KC defense. I'm not sure if I have that full trust in Brady right now.
Yeah, hate to hear that.
I mean, they do play Cincy. That is quite nice.
This is true. And they have all their signs, so.
Yeah. I'm gonna say no. They don't need Tommy to win that matchup, and I feel like maybe it's a good game to get Sony Michel going because he has been bad.
Could be a big game on the ground. All right, how about the forgotten running back in Philly's backfield, Mr. Jordan Howard, if he comes back from the injury that sidelined him the past few weeks?
I don't care. He hasn't been fantasy
nope.
relevant
Neither do
in
I.
weeks, so
All right,
no.
moving on.
No.
The most efficient tight end of last week, 2 touchdowns before he hit his head, Jared Cook. If he gets out of the concussion protocol in 1 week, miraculously, would you start him?
They play
100%.
Monday night. I'm gonna pivot.
Ooh.
I'm not
I
playing
would.
him. You're
I
playing
would.
him.
Yes.
You know, I'm going to say if he gets cleared
don't think he
fully
clears.
by the weekend before the 1 o'clock starts, I'd be hard pressed, but I think I would start him because he has become a really big part of that offense the past month.
Me too. My take was to start him last week on San Fran because Breeze leans on him, and it's exactly what happened in the first quarter. It's a shame he went out, but if by some chance he does come back in, I'm playing him again.
Yep,
Yeah.
if he's healthy, I'm
let's
rolling him out.
Yeah, I mean, let's think really quickly. If you are to want to play Jared Cook that late into the week, who else do you have on your roster as a backup plan? Because I mean, you gotta be ready for that.
You need Jack Doyle on that team.
You do. You need Jack Doyle, and so if Jack Doyle's available and you can scoop him, be ready to have that option because Eric
Good
Ebron
call,
is still
Lando.
out. We haven't brought his name up, but he's not going to play this week.
No.
Yep. And unless Taysom Hill becomes a tight end eligible in fantasy overnight, you're not going the New Orleans route. All right, that is the players that are coming back this week, hopefully.
Love it. All right, guys. So we're going into the next segment. The last segment we got here, tough decisions for Week 15, the semifinal week. We've picked out 3 players that we think that you might be in a sticky situation with that maybe you've been leaning on, maybe you've been waiting for them to kind of show out, and you just don't know what to do this week. I think the perfect candidate for this spot right here is none other than the guy that single-handedly got me into 4 semifinal matchups, Mr. Jameis Winston, quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And this comes from a spot of endearment because I love Jameis, but I also know that he lost Mike Evans this week, and I also know that he has a hairline fracture in his throwing hand. So my question is he worth the risk, or is there a guy that you could stream over him? And I know that I faced this situation, and I also know that Scott faces this situation. So, Scotty, is there anybody here from this list that we have that you would consider putting in over Jameis, or are you just going to roll with him because he's your guy?
I have been, I've been searching this so much the past 48 hours because I'm having a really tough time making this decision. That being said, I'll add another guy to your list just because of my current situation. I have Jared Goff on the same team as Winston. Right. The names we have on here, Tannehill against Houston, that's really tough because Tannehill's looked great and that Houston defense has looked terrible. Mayfield, I'm going to say tight with Tannehill. Mayfield, I want no part of personally. I'm kind of over the Cleveland Browns. I don't trust them. Ryan, I also would not start Ryan over Winston. Minshew, I'm going Winston. I love Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings, but I'm also still going Winston. Really? I'm going Winston over our entire list. And I'm going to tell you why.
Baby.
Why am I going Winston when he has a broken finger and he just lost his number one wide receiver? I am doing it because of how he played in the second half of last week's game. He was injured then as well. Mike Evans was out at that point too. But the reality is he is a gunslinger. He has the Brett Favre mentality. He does not care that he threw his 21st interception of the season. Rest in peace, Buccaneers playoff hopes, ever. But it's the game script.
Don't say ever.
Don't say ever. Don't do it.
But from a fantasy perspective, you have to love it. The game script is always for that of a fantasy owner. He's always throwing the ball. No matter what, he could throw 4 interceptions, and he's going to try to throw 7 touchdowns. I just don't see many quarterbacks out there where you actually get the chance of that game script. Like I said, Jared Goff, I'm literally facing the decision of starting the 2 this week, and it's neck and neck because of health. No more Mike Evans. But the reality is I'm leaning of going with a slightly broken Winston. I've also heard he has a knee injury, which I'm also trying to read up on. But right now I'm saying Winston over the whole group because the game script will probably be pass heavy. He's taking on the Detroit Lions, who are just an atrocious defense. And with a matchup that way, I will feel ridiculous if I sit him for a guy like Goff. Goff has the type of season he has, which is, either at 2 points or topping at 20 points, where Winston tops at 45 points. That's what I'm saying. There's very few quarterbacks out there that give you the opportunity to legitimately win your week, even if they lose the game, like Winston. So he got me to tied for first in the current Dynasty League that I'm in my semifinal matchup in, and I will be rolling with him in the trenches, and I don't think he's going to let me down.
Okay, so we know where Scotty stands. I'm going to consult, as I go through this list again, I'm going to consult Landon and Mark. So give me your opinion. Are you going to say, yes, I would pivot and I would stream X over Winston, or no, I'm going to stick with Winston? And if we all agree on this, then we'll just kind of keep rolling, and if not, we'll go back and discuss. Ryan Tannehill against Houston. Houston is the 6th worst defense against the fantasy quarterback. Are you taking Tannehill against Houston, or are you sticking with Jameis?
Yes, I'm taking Tannehill.
Marky?
Me too. Yeah, I think I'm taking Tannehill as well, even though I am a diehard Buccaneers fan, and I like the juiciness of both matchups. I just feel like Tannehill has really come into form. That offense is playing for meaning, and I think really Tannehill just has better field vision than Winston. So yeah, I agree with Landon, but I don't dislike Goff. I'm saying if this came down to it, Tannehill, then Winston, then Goff.
Okay. I'm also going Tannehill. This is the guy that I picked up in 2 leagues, and I am happily maybe not happily, but I am pivoting against better judgment. For me, it is I have Chris Godwin in most of these leagues as well, and I've been stacking with Winston the whole year, and it's been amazing. It's paid off tenfold of what I thought it would. But now I'm thinking in a playoff week, semifinal week with that stack, if Winston has a down week, then I also experience that most likely with Godwin. So it's kind of like trying to be risk adverse and diversifying. If I can get a similar game out of Tannehill, even if Jameis plays well, but offset potential losses if he doesn't, that would be better for me. So I just think for me personally, I'm going Tannehill. In another league, I face the potential of going Mayfield or Winston. Are you guys okay with that?
That's a tough one for me. I understand the upside against Arizona's defense. We haven't seen the upside yet from Mayfield, but just like we saw from Jared Goff, nothing gets you right as a quarterback than going against those Cardinals. So
That's true.
I would I would still I'd go Winston over Mayfield. I'm not super thrilled with Mayfield.
Maybe the whole narrative ultimately is that Bruce Arians has Winston on like 3 fantasy teams, and he's just saying, "Huck it, get that ball into your end zone, and shut up, and do it again on the next drive."
Right. This is where I draw the line. Like, I'm just very torn on the Mayfield versus Winston, so I'm gonna have to let the week mature to see where I go with that. Yes or no, Matt Ryan against San Francisco?
No, I'm not into that.
No, sir.
Minshew against Oakland?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
I don't think so either. Cousins against the Chargers?
I would probably. Oh man.
I think he just has less upside.
I guess so. Yeah. No, I guess not.
Yeah.
He's been good sneakily, but no, I guess not.
Manning against the Dolphins?
Nope.
Yeah, that's a no for me as well. And Goff against Dallas. As tempting as Goff is, I don't want it either.
No. Before we move on from Jameis, let's talk about the players affected by Jameis. I think O.J. Howard gets the biggest bump. I think Rashad Perriman is streamable in some leagues. Depends how deep they are. And Justin Watson presents upside based on his measurables. If you look it up on a website like playerprofiler.com, you see his 40 times and his agility scores and his speed scores. They are through the roof. He's a very fast, agile guy. He's been waiting for this opportunity to get onto the field with Mike Evans gone. I think he's a nice little stash in some deeper leagues, dynasty leagues, if he's still available. But yeah, we should move on. So I'm going to go to a guy of contention. I have him in a couple leagues. I know Mackenzie has him in a couple leagues, and that is Odell Beckham Jr. So he plays Arizona this week. On paper, we think this is a great matchup. We talked about Mayfield earlier. So let's talk about Odell. We just found out last week that he has a sports hernia, and he looks a little bit unmotivated. Apparently, he's been going up to his opponents in a few matchups, saying, "Come get me to Jimmy Garoppolo," and wants kind of out of Cleveland. It's been back and forth through the media that he is happy, he's fine, he loves Jarvis Landry, his best friend, but there's mixed emotions. Like, he's not in huddles, he's not talking to Mayfield. But then we see clips of him blocking downfield with Nick Chubb running and blocking when maybe some other receivers don't. So if you've managed to make it through the playoffs with Odell on your team and you're in the semifinals, I'm going to ask you 3 if you're willing to start Odell. And we have some really tough options.
That is me in 2 leagues. So
yeah.
I've made it this far with Odell.
And you still have him. So there you go.
Yes.
You're fortunate that you do. The 2 leagues I had him in, I am out in both. So it's funny. I could have started Anthony Miller and been better than him. I could have started who else did I have? Well, obviously AJ Brown. But anyways, let's keep on moving. So, okay, I'll go through it. Odell or Dede Westbrook versus Oakland. What do you guys got?
I would stick with Odell. The game script is just too good.
If we're talking Jags, then I do think I will still roll out the gold watch OBJ and see if he can just string together enough catches to make it worth my while.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually flip and go Westbrook on this one.
There you go.
Ooh, okay.
What about AJ Brown? He's been hot and cold, but he has those boom games. He's a man amongst boys out there as a rookie.
Against one of the softest secondaries, I would definitely,
secondary,
yes.
Yeah.
You guys
definite start on Houston. I think definitely AJ Brown.
Going AJ. What about Zach Pascal facing New Orleans? A tough defense.
No.
Odell.
Yeah, I'm not willing to roll him out against that Saints secondary, no matter how many points they gave up last week.
What about Cole Beasley against Pittsburgh?
No. No.
You know what? I've been saying it for weeks on the waiver wire pickup show, and I'm just going to plant my flag now. Yeah, watch. Cole Beasley's going to have a better week this upcoming week than OBJ.
Oh, can I have a bet on that right now? Can I have a bet on that right this second?
You know what? Yes.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Marky, what are you set on this one?
Ooh.
It's gross.
Beasley.
Do you have the Beazles?
You just can't.
I don't know. You can't.
No, okay.
Nothing against Pittsburgh defense.
Okay.
If you're this far with Odell, you got to roll with them.
If you lined up Cole Beasley and OBJ week by week this season,
I
bet you Cole Beasley has dominated him.
No.
I think you're right. Fantasy points wise, I think you're right. But
yeah, I know the name is sexy, but I think if you just look at who got more points, I think if you were flexing Cole Beasley over OBJ all season, you're in better shape, much better shape.
All right, keep it moving.
All right, Larry Fitzgerald in the same matchup. Who would you start?
Odell.
Yeah,
Odell.
I think I'd go Odell as well. I have no faith in that Arizona offense right now. They're a mess.
Deontay Johnson had a big week last week. They play Buffalo.
If Juju comes back and James Washington comes back, I don't like the narrative for Deontay. His upside is capped, so I'm going to go Odell.
I think I'll go OBJ on that one.
Let's go Deontay and hope for like a big punt return.
There you go. Nelson Aguilar against Washington with probably Alshon Jeffrey out or Odell.
Man, this is so interesting because we've seen what Aguilar can do in the absence of his teammates, and he gets targets, he catches the rock, and he comes out of nowhere. So I still think I'm going Odell, but it's definitely interesting because Alshon will be out, and they'll be relying on Ertz and Goddard to carry the load. So I think Aguilar gets a huge bump, especially over J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. I'd go Aguilar over him, but as a potential fill-in, but not over Odell.
All right, and I think we all agree that we would start Metcalf over Odell this week.
Yep.
Beautiful.
All right, we shall move on. Marky, you're still with us here? You want to talk about James Conner?
Yeah, of course. So James Conner is not someone that I have owned at all this season, but when he's on the field, he does make an impact, and that's a team who has desperately leaned on having him healthy. But unfortunately, he hasn't been able to do that in this latter half of the season. So James Conner is coming back for his first full game since week 8. He had a couple snaps in week 11, but they were pretty meaningless. And then actually he was putting up fairly solid, consistent numbers aside from one down game against San Francisco. So what are your thoughts on James Conner? How do you feel like he's going to perform? Is he going to come back and have that same impact that he was having before his injury?
Yeah, so he's been practicing in full the whole week, as has Juju Smith-Schuster. The way that I look at this is that Pittsburgh's secondary backs, backup running backs have come in and basically done nothing. Like Jalen Samuels has been very poor. Benny Snell has done nothing with his opportunity. And so I think that coming back by default, they're going to need him to be very, very active. I bet you he's a lock for at least 20 carries, or maybe not carries, but touches for sure, both rushing and receiving. I think he's a lock for a pretty big workload coming back. So I think opportunity alone, I am very, very interested in starting James Conner. So I probably will be doing so. And if Buffalo is to be beaten anywhere, it's on the ground. Their secondary is quite good with shutdown corner Tre'Davious White, but they can be ran on. We've seen that so far this year. So I'm very excited if James Conner is ready to go.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I'm going to actually agree with Mac on that point. The thing is, there's always two ways to look at it, that the O-line and the offense is so out of sync that his replacements have not been able to be remotely fantasy relevant, or that he is that talented that he will have zero competition when he comes back. And I'm going to go with the latter. I agree with Mac. I think if he's fully healthy and ready to go, then it could be a big week for him where they really lean on Conner.
And my 2 cents before Mark puts us through these, who would we rather, is that Pittsburgh's still in it. They're still trying to make the playoffs here, despite rolling out Duck Hodges from week to week. So, I mean, if they were out of it, Conner definitely wouldn't be coming back against Buffalo. It's not a great matchup. So, yeah, I mean, when we talked about this segment, I was off the James Conner train. I did not want to start him. So, but you guys are starting to convince me here. So let's get moving on this James Conner action.
Okay, so we got a couple guys here listed that we're gonna see how they stack up versus old James Conner here. What would you do between James Conner and Raheem Mostert of 49ers?
Holy.
I have this in one league, and I currently have Raheem Mostert in my lineup. Man, going up against the Atlanta Falcons, like, what a game script, and Raheem Mostert has just been on fire. So, as Landon has coined a couple times this year, he is a must-start, Mr. Raheem Mostert. Hey. Yeah.
I'm going to go Connors. I think...
Hey, look at that.
I'm going to go against that. I think the 49ers, there's no rhyme or reason why Mostert is getting all these carries. I think they might be saving...
He's talented and good?
They have a ton of talent back there. I still think Coleman is talented. He just has been getting nothing. Coleman could be doing all this stuff that Mostert's doing. I don't know. Maybe they're saving for the playoffs. I think watch the playoffs.
The dude just straight up lost his job.
We don't know why.
I know. It's crazy. I'm going Mostert. You're going Connor.
Okay.
Mark, split the tie here.
Ooh, I think it's for sure Raheem Mostert for me.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Keep it rolling.
Would you play James Conner or Kenyon Drake?
Conner.
Moving on. Would you play James Conner or DeAndre Washington?
Oh boy.
And that's assuming that Jacobs is out.
Josh Jacobs is out.
Assuming Josh Jacobs is out.
Yeah, I still think I go Conner. I mean, we saw Washington have a fairly decent game last week, kind of saved by a touchdown. Wasn't overly productive on the ground, but did get into the end zone. I think I'm going with the volume. I think James Conner is definitely going to get the work.
I'll buy into your narrative. I'm still on the Conner train. You guys have convinced me.
I love it.
Yeah, me too. Never Conner over Jacobs, though, as a side note. So, how about James Conner over David Montgomery?
Yes, I would go Conner.
Yep, same Conner.
Really?
Yes.
So, Green Bay is allowing quite a bit of rush yards against them, and I think David Montgomery is certainly made a case for a great rookie running back, tough to take down, plays with grit. Yet you still want to go the Conner route on this one.
I do. I think Green Bay is. I think Mike Pettin, defensive coordinator for the Packers, is smart enough to force Mitch Trubisky to throw on them and beat them with his arm. I think Tariq Cohen and David Montgomery are going to be limited in this game because that's going to be the focus, and I just don't see it working out for those guys.
I'm kind of hoping it's a little bit
Montgomery.
Yeah. I'm hoping it's a shootout. And are they playing in Green Bay this weekend? Yes, they are. Yes, they are. So I'm actually playing. I'm playing. Yeah, I'm hoping it's like a Tariq Cohen kind of game here.
So you're gonna go Connor.
I'm going Connor. Yeah.
Okay, Connor or Singletary?
See, this is where I still like Singletary.
That's tough. Yeah, I'm probably going Singletary as well.
He's got the workload. He's been awesome. He's been explosive. I made the error this offseason to pick a guy like Justice Hill over Singletary. You guys were right.
Might be one of the biggest movers for this year versus next year.
For me, for sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, and how about LaShawn McCoy?
Connor.
Yeah, Connor, I think as well.
Ditto. And finally, this young up-and-comer, Adrian Peterson.
The tape on this guy is limited, but from what I've seen out of him, no, I'm kidding. Darius Geis out of the lineup now.
He's going to get a ton of work.
A ton of work ahead of him. Geez, man, this one's close. I don't want to put my stock into Adrian Peterson. I don't want to put my fantasy hopes into him. Geez. I'm going to go James Conner.
I'm going to go Conner as well. I think AP could have 20 carries for 80 yards.
200 yards? I agree. I'm going Peterson here.
All right. The workload. I get it. It could be a larger split than we think. Jalen Samuel could be involved. Benny Snell, even though he's been very bad, he's not hurt. He could spell Connor more than we would like. But we're hoping. I like Mac's narrative, and we're going to be answering a ton of these questions 1 hour before kickoff. We are going to be live in studio with Mackenzie. Hopefully Scotty will be around. Marky, you're going to have to be on the YouTube channel or on Sleeper answering questions, because we will be all lit up with Mackenzie in real life.
Yeah, we've got a ugly Christmas, ugly sweater party going on for our Christmas party this year, and Landon and Scott are making their trip. Mark, unfortunately, not able to fly in for the party, as you would understand. But the three of us are going to be live around noon, maybe a little bit early, in a special edition this week to help you win your semifinals. We'll do our start sits. The chat last week was popping off.
Oh my gosh, it was
the 1 week we don't do it on video. So maybe it's just a coincidence. Maybe it's bad luck. I don't know. But hopefully it's popping this week, and you guys can come join us. And come hang with us. We'll tweet the links out. We'll make sure that we get into the YouTube chats, and Mark will be the producer that day.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, word up.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, everyone. I hope you enjoyed some tough decisions we have made. We've got a lot more tough decisions to make, so send us a tweet, Instagram, anything you want. Tune in Sunday morning, and we will answer as many as we can.
Guys, before we go, Cole Beasley is 0.7 points per game better than Odell Beckham Jr. this year.
Per game? 0.7?
Yeah, per game.
Wow, because he's about 10 points on the season.
Yeah.
But he's got 6 touchdowns. Odell has 2.
I know.
So, come on here.
I'm not going Cole Beasley. I'm going Odell. Listen, best of luck this week. Reach out to us, and we will see you guys Sunday morning.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Saturday Morning Snap Fantasy Football Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at SMS_fantasy. Support this independent podcast at patreon.com/SaturdayMorningSnap.